Hello and welcome to the Pharmacy Informatics Professor 2020 with your host, Dr. Armin Simonian. In past episodes, we've talked about labor statistics and the apparent decline in pharmacist jobs that were predicted last year in 2020. But we did talk about information technology jobs, which seem to be increasing quite rapidly. And we concluded that this was good news for the pharmacy informaticists since we're going more and more to the use of technology applied to the medication use process. And we need more experts, pharmacy informaticists in this area to help with selecting and implementing and maintaining systems. We've also talked in the past about levels of automation, and there was an ASHP survey that I shared that showed that the number of pharmacist FTEs on average was increasing. So I was excited to see another survey that was done this year in 2021 by one of the trade journals. And in this survey, where they actually got a response from 365 different hospital pharmacies across the country. And they indicated which technologies were being used. And I think you'll see that the results are pretty similar and consistent with other surveys that we've seen with the level of automation for different technologies. But what caught my eye was a few of the slides at the beginning of the presentation that talked about pharmacist FTEs. Pharmacy informaticists FTEs, I should say. So looking at this, I feel pretty good in concluding that pharmacy informaticist jobs are increasing. So what I'm going to do is pull up a presentation that was actually put together by the Trade magazine, and they freely share this information, and you can, if you're signed up with this organization, you can get these slides yourself and use them in your own presentations. But let me go ahead and share my screen and show you what I was able to download from this organization. So this is a magazine called Pharmacy Purchasing and Products magazine. And they do an annual survey of pharmacy automation. Okay. And they say here that we can use their slides, so that's why I'm doing this. It's not my typical format with my PowerPoint slides, but I thought it would be just more informative and easier to just go with what was provided by the surveyors. So here they talk about all the different areas that they cover and put a little ad about themselves. Talk about future technologies that pharmacy directors are interested in implementing. And you see here some interesting results. Artificial intelligence systems, virtual assistant in patient rooms. So kind of like Alexa or Siri. And then drone medication delivery, interesting. And then some other technologies. So this is the meat of the survey in terms of the state of automation. And you see that this is very consistent with what we've seen with other surveys that I've covered in previous episodes. And you see that the number one technology that's implemented is automated dispensing cabinets. So we've seen this time and time again in different surveys. And then you have smart pumps, CPOE, and barcode medication administration at the bedside, and then some other technologies. But these tend to be the highest used and implemented technologies. Now, after this, they talked about the bedside of the respondents. So you see that kind of a third of the respondents are from small hospitals, 100 beds or less, and about a third, almost a third, are 400 plus, and the rest of them are in the middle between 100 and 400 beds in their hospitals. So I'm going to say that close to half of the hospitals are small hospitals, 200 beds or less, and half of them are large hospitals. And these are the types of facilities. So it was mostly community hospitals. And then you get into teaching hospitals and academic centers, and the VA government owned. And here is the interesting slide that I saw on pharmacy informaticists on staff by facility size. So you see here that 84% of the respondents who are in the larger hospitals, 400 plus beds, have pharmacy informaticists specifically on staff. This is good news. And even the smallest hospitals, about a fourth of them were responding that, yes, they did have pharmacy informaticists on site. So, you know, it's hard for a smaller hospital to purchase technologies and implement them because of their budget, and also to hire a full-time specialist like a pharmacy informaticist. But it's encouraging to see that at least a quarter of those smaller hospital, very small hospitals, do have a pharmacy informaticist. And even when you get into the next category of 100 to 200 beds, half those hospitals reported having a pharmacy informaticist on staff. Now they broke it down by bed size. And so you see here, these are the really small hospitals. And what you should take from this is that, yeah, they do have some pharmacy informaticists employed. Most of them are part-time, like down to a 10th or 1/4 FTE. And then you have some of these smaller hospitals that have a half FTE or even 1 FTE. And interesting that some of the respondents, 2%, actually have 5 to 10 pharmacy informaticists on site, which I think is just incredible. Now, I don't know if all of those are pharmacy informaticists working in the pharmacy department, or maybe some of them are IT, or maybe it's just a coincidence, but that's quite a few FTEs for a small hospital. These must be very specialized, highly technical, and specialized in certain disease states that might require the use of more automation. And so very interesting that, you know, some of these hospitals had 2 or 3 or even 5 to 10 FTEs. But the majority, you can see, are way down at 1 FTE or less. And then as you move up in bed size, you see, you know, more of the hospitals having 1 FTE or more. And here's the 200 to 400 bed size. See, a lot of them have 1, 1.5, or 2 FTEs, even up to 3 FTEs on staff. These are pharmacy informaticists specifically. And then in the largest hospitals, you see many of them starting with 1 FTE and above. You know, most of them have 1.5 to 2, maybe 3 on average FTEs. Some of them have 5 to 10, and 10% of the respondents for the hospitals in this 400 plus bed size actually reported having multiple pharmacy informaticists, up to 10 or more on staff. Very interesting. So this was my conclusion that, you know, the job market for pharmacy informaticists is increasing. This has been borne out by other studies that we've covered. And here again, we see that, you know, there are quite a few pharmacy informaticists, and Pharmacy Purchasing and Products is reporting that the greatest increase in FTEs employed at these hospitals was in the category of the 200 bed size hospitals. So the not tiny, but the smaller hospitals have been growing their job opportunities for pharmacy informaticists, employing more pharmacy informaticists, FTEs, full-time equivalents in the implementation and monitoring of their technologies applied to the medication use process. So gives me a lot of hope that we're headed in the right direction, and it kind of confirms that more and more the tools of the trade of the pharmacists are technology. We're using the computer more and more. And of course, when you use the computer to that extent and you implement all of this automation and different technologies and you have electronic health records, you do need that pharmacy informaticist, that specialist who knows pharmacy and is very familiar with the information technology and is able to effectively select, implement, and train people to use these technologies, monitor them, and update them and upgrade them, and make sure that the users are competent going forward. And this is what we do as pharmacy informaticists, and the jobs are out there. So interesting survey, and you can go and it's free to sign up to become a subscriber to this magazine. And as a subscriber, you will have access to these same slides and in the future other surveys that they perform. So interesting and good news that jobs for pharmacists, pharmacy informaticists are increasing. So I hope that was also encouraging for you, for those out there who are interested in getting into this specialty area. So if you like this video, go ahead and indicate that and subscribe to my channel, and I'll thank you for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, look after the health of others, and I'll continue to work on more episodes, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.